Thousands of people are sitting on brand new cars they absolutely hate, and the data proves it. One SUV has a 28% first-year resale rate. A $110,000 Jeep is depreciating so fast owners are panicking. And 3 Mercedes models made this list back to back to back. We went through 18 million transactions to bring you the 14 cars you should never buy. Let's get into it. Number 14. Mazda CX-70. Let's kick things off with a car that's actually pretty good, but still lands on this list for one painful reason: confusion. The Mazda CX-70 looks incredible on paper. The interior punches way above its price point. Owners compare the cabin quality to BMW and Lexus. The inline-6 engine is smooth, sounds fantastic, and the steering is sharper than you'd expect from an SUV this size. So what went wrong? Identity crisis. The CX-70 is essentially a 2-row version of the CX-90. Same body, same footprint, just no third row. And the moment buyers realize that, on a $54,000 purchase, the regret sets in fast. The conversation online is brutal. Why did I buy the 70 when I could have just folded the seats down in the 90? That's a rough realization to have after signing the paperwork. Then there's the transmission. Even on newer models, owners report low-speed jerkiness, a clunky sensation when creeping in traffic or starting from a cold stop. The 8-speed doesn't use a traditional torque converter, and at this price range, buyers simply don't want to deal with that. Add in a wireless charger that overheats iPhones without actually charging them, and a start-stop system that cuts the engine while the car is still rolling. And you've got enough friction to push owners toward the exit. Nearly 1 in 14 CX-70 buyers resold within the first year. Not bad for a good car, but enough to make the list. Number 13. Mitsubishi Mirage G4. Here's one that might surprise you, because this car costs under $20,000 new. How bad can a $20,000 car really be? Bad enough to make this list. The Mirage G4 is one of the cheapest new cars you can buy in America. And that price is exactly why people buy it, and exactly why they leave it. Here's the core issue. This car was not built for American highways. Owners describe merging onto the freeway or trying to pass a semi-truck as genuinely nerve-wracking. People on forums have flat out said they felt unsafe at highway speeds. That's not a minor complaint. That's a fundamental problem with a car that's supposed to be a daily driver. And when you're not white-knuckling the on-ramp, you're dealing with cabin noise. There is almost zero sound deadening in this car. Long trips become exhausting. Owners describe it as driving a tin can at 70 miles per hour. And that gets old very fast. If you're doing short city hops, the Mirage G4 makes sense on paper. But buyers who expected a real capable daily driver, especially one that could handle interstate driving, figured that out the hard way. Over 8% of Mirage G4 buyers resold within the first year, on a car that only cost $19,600 to begin with. That tells you everything. Number 12. Nissan Leaf. The Nissan Leaf was a pioneer, one of the first mainstream electric vehicles, and for a while, that was enough. It's not anymore. Here's the core problem. The Leaf was not built for the EV market of today. The technology has aged out. The range is limited, the charging standard is outdated, and newer EVs from every direction have simply left it behind. Owners who buy the Leaf expecting a capable modern electric vehicle get a reality check fast, especially in colder climates where range anxiety hits hard. Winter driving can slash the already modest range significantly, leaving owners stranded in situations they never anticipated. And then there's depreciation. The Nissan Leaf is one of the fastest depreciating cars on the market, full stop. As EV prices continue to drop across the board, Leaf owners watch their resale value evaporate in real time. The result? Owners either upgrade to something newer or cut their losses early. Either way, they're gone fast. Entry-level EV buyers who expected a gateway into electric driving end up panic selling after experiencing the real-world limitations. The Leaf had its moment, but that moment has passed, and the data proves it. It appears in multiple resale tiers, meaning the problem isn't isolated. It's widespread, consistent, and accelerating. The Leaf was a pioneer, but pioneers get replaced. And right now, Leaf owners are feeling that replacement pressure harder than almost anyone else in the EV space. Number 11. Mercedes-Benz CLA, 1 in 5. That's how many CLA buyers walk away before the first year is up. Let that sink in. The CLA looks the part. Sharp sports sedan styling. The iconic 3-pointed star on the hood, starting around $50,000. For a lot of buyers, That's the entire pitch. And honestly, it works. The showroom experience is convincing. But then you drive it home. The CLA sits on an entry-level platform, and it shows. The materials don't feel $50,000 worthy. There are hard plastics in places that make you question every dollar you spend. The MBUX infotainment system, while visually impressive, frustrates owners daily. Screens freeze. Voice commands misfire. Simple tasks that should take one button press now require 4 taps through menus. The ride is tuned more for sport than daily comfort, which sounds great until you're commuting on rough roads every single morning. And here's the brutal truth. A Mazda 3 or Honda Civic delivers a better driving experience, a nicer interior feel, and more day-to-day satisfaction for almost half the price. When buyers figure that out, they don't stick around. Over 20% gone within year 1. Number 10. Mercedes-Benz GLA. Mercedes' entry point into the compact luxury SUV space. An entry level is exactly the right phrase. The GLA starts at around $48,500. Step inside and you'll immediately notice more hard plastic than you'd ever expect from a Mercedes badge. Within the first few thousand miles, those plastics start to creak and rattle. That's a deflating experience in any car. But in a Mercedes, it feels like a betrayal. Buyers crossing over from Toyota or Honda, expecting that smooth, cloud-like luxury experience, are genuinely caught off guard by how the GLA actually feels on rougher roads. The run-flat tires and stiffer suspension setup make longer commutes and road trips noticeably choppy. Same MBUX frustrations we've already covered. Same disconnect between the badge and the reality. When you buy the brand more than the car, reality checks in fast. Nearly 17% of GLA buyers resold within the first year. The badge alone is not worth $48,500. Number 9. Mercedes-Benz GLB. 3 Mercedes models in a row, and the GLB is the worst of the 3. Here's what makes the GLB story a little different. It's actually the most practical of the bunch. Boxy shape, more cargo space, an optional 3rd row. On paper, it makes sense. So the high resale rate is genuinely surprising until you dig deeper. The same core problems apply: hard plastic interiors that creak, MBUX reliability complaints, a ride that's stiffer than buyers expect. But what really drives the GLB's numbers is the expectation gap. The GLB is positioned as an affordable alternative to the GLE. Buyers go in thinking they're getting a scaled-down version of a proper Mercedes SUV. What they get is a vehicle where the difference in refinement between the two is significant and very obvious once you've lived with it. Some owners step up to the GLE, others step away from the brand entirely. Either way, over 21% of GLB buyers made that call before the first year was up, on a car averaging $51,000 new. Number 8. BMW 5 Series, one of the most storied sports sedans ever made. And yet, buyers are bailing before month 12. The 5 Series is one of the most leased vehicles in the luxury segment. Most people sign a 3-year deal, and they still can't make it to year 1. That alone tells you something is seriously wrong. The 2024 to 2025 redesign went almost completely buttonless. Physical controls are largely gone. Climate, audio, nearly every function now lives behind a touchscreen or what BMW calls the interaction bar. Longtime BMW fans who expected that classic driver-focused cockpit are genuinely frustrated. They feel like they're operating a tablet, not driving a car. And beyond the tech, there's a character problem. The new 5 Series is bigger, heavier, and more comfort-oriented than its predecessors. Enthusiasts are calling it a mini 7 Series. Buyers who wanted that sharp, connected driving experience found something that didn't deliver, and either dropped to a 3 Series or jumped ship to Porsche entirely. At nearly $68,000, that's a painful and expensive lesson. Over 13% gone within year 1. If you're finding this information helpful, take 1 second to hit that like button and subscribe to help us reach 100,000 subscribers. Appreciate your support. Number 7. Jaguar F-Pace. This one has a very specific story, and it starts with one word: uncertainty. Jaguar is essentially a dead brand in its current form. They've walked away from their entire existing lineup to reinvent themselves as an all-electric brand. That means F-Pace owners aren't just watching their car lose value. They're holding a vehicle from a brand that no longer exists in the way they bought into. That uncertainty absolutely destroys resale value. And smart owners are getting out while they still can. Then there's the infotainment. Despite several updates, owners say the Pivi Pro system still feels a step behind BMW and Mercedes. For a car pushing $60,000, that gap between the price tag and the tech experience creates a very real sense of, I should have bought something else. Over 1 in 8 F-Pace buyers were out the door before the year was up. When the brand itself is in question, it's hard to stay committed to the car. Number 6. Porsche Macan. Here's where things get interesting, because the Macan is genuinely a great car. Owners rave about the PDK transmission, the way it drives more like a tall sports car than a traditional SUV. That feeling you simply cannot get from a BMW or Mercedes. The Macan has a real, dedicated fan base. So why does it land this high on the list? 2 reasons. First, maintenance costs hit hard. Even buyers who could comfortably afford the purchase price get a serious wake-up call at that first Porsche service visit. It is not cheap. And for buyers who didn't fully account for the cost of ownership, that first bill is a shock they don't recover from. Second, Porsche buyers are a different breed. Many use the Macan as a stepping stone, purchasing it specifically to build a relationship with a dealer and earn an allocation for a more exclusive model. Once that goal is achieved, the Macan gets flipped fast. Either way, a massive 22% of Macan owners resold within the first year. Great car. Expensive reality. Number 5. Land Rover Discovery Sport. At $55,000, the Discovery Sport looks the part. Premium styling, the Land Rover badge, a well-appointed interior. It checks every box on the showroom floor. But Land Rover reliability issues aren't just internet chatter. They are well-documented and brutally consistent. Owners describe a slow drip of small electronic problems that start showing up within the first few thousand miles. A warning light here, a sensor fault there. Then the dealership visits begin. It's rarely one big catastrophic failure. It's the accumulation of small problems that chips away at your confidence and your patience. 3 trips to the dealer in the first 6 months for minor electrical issues on a $55,000 car? That wears on people fast. A staggering 28% of Discovery Sport buyers resell within the first year, nearly 1 in 3 owners, on a brand new vehicle. And when you factor in first-year depreciation, most of those owners are walking away leaving a serious chunk of money on the table. Number 4. Range Rover Evoque. No question, the Evoque is one of the most stylish compact luxury SUVs on the market. The coupe-like roofline, the sleek silhouette, the Range Rover badge, it turns heads everywhere it goes. The problem? What happens after you drive it home? That gorgeous roofline that makes the Evoque so visually striking also kills rear visibility. And the rear seat, while technically a 5-seater, is basically unusable for any adult. Buyers often discover this the first time they try to put a real passenger back there. And this is still a Land Rover. So electronic hiccups arrive early and often, rattling owner confidence before the new car smell has even faded. A lot of Evoque buyers are first-time luxury SUV shoppers who fell hard for the design, only to discover that day-to-day ownership at $58,000 is a very different experience than they expected. Over 16% resold within the first year. Style is great. Substance matters more. Number 3. Ford Mustang Mach-E. The EV hype was real. The marketing was powerful. The Mustang name carried serious weight. And for a moment, the Mach-E felt like the future. Then reality arrived. EV prices across the market kept dropping, fast. Mach-E owners watched their resale value shrink almost overnight as Ford itself slashed prices on new models. That's a brutal feeling when you're still in your first year of ownership. Then came the real-world frustrations. Charging inconvenience. Winter range loss that caught owners completely off guard. Software issues that required dealer visits for a car that was supposed to represent the cutting edge of technology. And the resale value concerns compounded everything. Owners who bought in at peak EV hype found themselves holding a depreciating asset in a rapidly shifting market. And many decided to exit before losing even more. Many Mach-E buyers were gone within 1 to 2 years after expectations simply didn't match reality. The Mustang name couldn't save it. Number 2. Land Rover Discovery. The full-size Land Rover Discovery. Average transaction price pushing $77,000. And if you've been paying attention to this list, you already know exactly where this is going. The service experience is a recurring nightmare. It's not uncommon to hear about a Discovery spending more time at the dealership in its first year than in the owner's driveway. Sensor warnings, electrical gremlins, minor issues that individually seem manageable. But when you're paying $77,000, Minor issues that keep your car in the shop for weeks start to feel very major, very fast. Reliability concerns don't just frustrate owners, they destroy confidence in the brand entirely. And serious depreciation on top of that makes holding on to the Discovery feel like a financial mistake in real time. At $77,000, you expect a vehicle that works. What you get is a vehicle that keeps you guessing. Nearly 14% of Discovery buyers resold within the first year. At that price point, those are some of the most expensive regrets on this entire list. Number 1. Jeep Grand Wagoneer, the biggest regret buy of the year, and it's not even close. The Jeep Grand Wagoneer arrives with a massive price tag. We're talking $90,000 to $110,000 for a fully loaded model. That's serious money. That's mortgage payment level money. And buyers who stretch to get there are setting themselves up for a very painful awakening. First, the fuel economy. In real-world driving, the Grand Wagoneer's MPG figures are brutal. Owners who didn't fully calculate the ongoing cost of fueling this thing get hit hard and fast. Then comes the depreciation. The Grand Wagoneer is one of the fastest depreciating large SUVs on the market. Owners watch thousands of dollars evaporate in the first few months alone. Combine that with massive monthly payments, high insurance costs, and reliability complaints that start surfacing early, and you have a recipe for immediate regret. Inventory sits on dealer lots for months, and owners who bought in on the luxury promise of the Wagoneer name find themselves desperate to exit before the losses get even worse. This is the car that makes people say, "What was I thinking?" Massive price, brutal depreciation, poor fuel economy, reliability concerns. Owners bail out fast, and they lose serious money doing it. The Jeep Grand Wagoneer is the #1 regret buy, by a wide margin. These are 14 cars that looked great on paper, but turned into expensive regrets fast. Now we want to hear from you. Have you owned any of these? Did your experience match what the data says? Drop it in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the content, smash that like button and subscribe to help us hit 100,000 subscribers. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.